Hi, this is JJ again, coming at you from Central Prison, home of North Carolina's death row. As it's been a while since I've been on the air, and as listeners come and go, I'll take a moment to tell y'all out there in the free world a little about myself. My full name is James Edward James. I was born July 13th, 1969 in Rutherford County, North Carolina, growing up in a small township of Union Mills. On October 13, 1990, I was arrested for first-degree murder, first-degree burglary, first-degree arson, armed robbery, and a couple of lesser felonies. I received death plus 160 years in prison. Due to the appeals process, the North Carolina Supreme Court canceled 20 of the 160 years for the two lesser felonies of theft, due to my already having been charged armed robbery. My death sentence was held in abeyance, pending the new capital resentencing hearing. In 1999, I was again resentenced to death. My co-defendant, Shane Smith, was rewarded for his false testimony. The district attorney, Alan Leonard, allowed Shane to be granted bond, and Shane pled guilty to the lesser charge of second-degree murder, burglary.
This call is from the North Carolina Correctional Facility.
Backing up. And Shane pled guilty to second-degree murder, burglary, arson, and armed robbery, receiving a sentence of Class C life plus 142 years in prison. At present, Shane is still incarcerated and held at Foothills Correctional Institute, Morganton, North Carolina. I never thought I'd be involved in crimes such as these. Having witnessed and experienced so much violence at the hands of my dad, I'd always fought to avoid any situation with even a hint of violence or violent behavior. I still live with the trauma of my upbringing, and reliving the trauma of the crimes of that long-gone October night has only exacerbated my PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. I mention this as it colors how I see and live my so-called life. I'm not making excuses or asking for sympathy, just putting it out there. When I was arrested, I was in the company of Shane. I had no car or driver's license. This is important to know, as I was said to be the leader in the crimes committed. I wasn't a leader of my own life, much less a leader in a criminal conspiracy. I went where Shane wanted to go, if I wanted to go. And in the end, it cost one man his life and the ruin of many more lives, impacting families on all sides. Before coming to death row in April of 1992, I was held in various jails and prisons, awaiting trial. One such place, Blanche Youth Institution, was where I met former death row prisoner Richard Joyner. Richard, known to guys on the road as Rich or Small Change, clued me in on some of the things that I need to know about the road. He told me about some of the guys he was friendly with, about the canteen, staff, and chow hall schedules. So I knew something about the road before I ever got here, but I still brought with me my own preconceived notions and ideas, only now colored to a different set of eyes. Rich was resentenced to a life sentence. I lost touch with him after that. And after the passing of so many years, I hope he has found his own redemption and maybe a new life outside of steel bars and barbed wire. I knew of a couple other guys that had been on the road long before I met Rich. Both were from my area, western North Carolina, and were known to my family. The first, James Hutchins, shot and killed 3 law enforcement officers, 2 in his front yard that were responding to a domestic dispute, and a state trooper had come across James while he was changing a flat tire at the scene of the initial killings. Depending on who you asked or who you knew, one of the deputies James killed, Rutherford County Sheriff's Deputy Roy Husky, led a lifestyle that all but predicted a bad end. Roy Husky and his brother, Sheriff Damon Husky, were a part of, if not head of, the Good Old Boy network in the county. Back in the 1970s, the Huskies were known to be brutal in how they handled their job. Their lives intersected those of my family on several occasions. In one instance, the Husky brothers assaulted and hospitalized the elderly parents of my Uncle Johnny Allen. They wanted to arrest Johnny for crimes unknown to me, and his parents weren't seen as being cooperative enough, and so the Allens were beaten. In another instance, my grandma, Myrtle Rumpelt, who ran what was known colloquially as a bootleg joint, attempted to shoot Deputy Husky. The pistol misfired. Months later, it fired perfectly for law enforcement. Fate, it seemed, had other plans for Roy Husky, luckily for my grandma. James Huskins was eventually caught, tried, and executed for the murders. No innocent James. He was known to law enforcement and had a reputation for violence and hard drinking. Unconfirmed rumor and allegation had it that the killing of Roy Husky was personal. They said Husky was having an affair with James's wife. Maybe so, maybe not. In some circles, that would justify Roy Husky's being James's first victim. In case some listeners think I'm against law enforcement, think again. Without law and order, our world would quickly devolve into chaos. Sure, there are bad actors in all groups of people, and law enforcement is not exempt. But we, society, have need of people that are willing to keep our families safe. And sometimes the law can be heavy-handed. Some people, violent people, can't be dealt with by smiles and pats on the back. Crowns and force are sometimes needed. Granted, there are gun-ho cops out there, then as well as now. You need only turn on the TV news to know that. But all cops are our enemies. There are people with families and bills to pay. They should be able to go to work and know they will turn to their loved ones at shift's end. But that doesn't always happen. In a perfect world, we wouldn't need law enforcement, but we live in an imperfect world. I said early on that I knew of two men on the road. James Huskins was the first. And, as an aside, listeners might want to see the movie Rutherford County Line, because it has both the Huskies and Huskins. The accuracy may leave much to be desired, but it's still a good flick. The other guy known to me is Jim Ross. I can't say anything good about this guy. I don't mean that there's not anything good to say, just that I don't know of it. This man raped and murdered two teenage boys and buried them with their bicycles on his property. Those boys were friends of my family. I do not apologize for my feelings for child rapists. These crimes disgust me on many levels. Unbeknownst to me at the time, I was in jail with Ross in Rutherford County. My first arrest was selling marijuana. Ross was in our jail because the victim of his crimes were trying to get to him in his native McDowell County jail. My impression of him is vague and uninspiring. Whatever his crimes and sins, he was a human being. He eventually received life in prison on appeal. I suspect he has since passed away, as he was a young man when I met him nearly 4 years ago. In the past, I have recorded differing themes on Miss Valerie's platform. I read some of my poetry, chronicled a disastrous relationship with Magpie, and spoke about aspects of my childhood in Union Mills, North Carolina. While some of these subjects were difficult to discuss, the pieces were short. This project will be long, large in scope, will be about the 39 guys executed since
This call is from the North Carolina Correctional Facility.
Backing it up just a touch. This project will be long, large in scope, will be about the 39 guys executed since I came to the road. While I knew all 39 of these guys, I weren't friends with all of them. Actually didn't like some of them. What I will endeavor to do is share stories and remembrances of them that can be found nowhere else. Whatever their failings, whatever their crimes, they have paid their debt to society. The crimes are as disturbing as anything created on a Hollywood movie set or seen on any local news program. Was justice served by these 39 executions? Maybe. Were they the worst of the worst? Doubtful. And at least one man's guilt is still in question, though he is no longer here to protest his innocence any longer. I hope the insights I'll provide will give pro-death penalty advocates pause. If these guys were monsters, they weren't born that way. Monsters aren't born, they are created. The end.